Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's a nice summer's evening here, and we're outside with our little candle.
Yeah, this keep the bugs away.
And the Bhagavatam. And we're going to read.
Best to keep the anatas away.
Yeah.
Bugs and anatas.
Anartas. Bug. Okay.
It's Canto 4, Chapter 5, Text 1. Frustration of the sacrifice of Daksha. This is good. Now we're getting good. Not that the other bits weren't good, but...
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 1. Maitreya said, when Lord Shiva heard from Narada that Sati, his wife, was now dead because of Prajapati Daksha's insult to her, and that his soldiers had been driven away by the Ribu demigods, he became greatly angry.
Oh no.
Lord Shiva understood that Sati, being the youngest daughter of Daksha, could present the case of Lord Shiva's purity of purpose, and would thus be able to mitigate the misunderstanding between Daksha and himself. But such a compromise was not attained, and Sati was deliberately insulted by her father by not being received properly when she visited his house without being invited. Sati herself could have killed her father, Daksha, because she is the personified material energy and has immense power to kill and create within this material universe. In the Brahma Samhita, her strength is described. She is capable of creating and dissolving many universes, but although she is so powerful, she acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as his shadow. It would not have been difficult for Sati to punish her father, but she thought that since she was his daughter, it was not proper for her to kill him. Thus, she decided to give up her own body, which she had obtained from his, it says from his, which she had obtained from his, and Daksha did not even check her, means stop her. So yeah, it's interesting that, I think we may have mentioned before, and that is, it's just capable, she is Maya, Devi, personified, she's
the material energy. Yeah.
So she could have done him over without any difficulty, and everyone there. She don't need what's going to occur now, which is quite amazing and brilliant. But anyway, she don't need that. It's original girl power, as it were. If you're into that and feminism and all that, she, at the risk not to minimise Lord Shiva, but she is a force to be reckoned with in her own so it's interesting. And Lord Shiva, it says, felt initially when she left, if anyone's going to be able to present my case and deal with the situation, it's my wife, the youngest daughter of Daksha. But then he gets informed by his people. So he informed him, Narada Modi, that your wife's dead, basically.
Wife's dead, set herself on fire.
Right.
All the people you sent to protect her have been more or less run out by the Ribu demigods. And it's a pretty awkward situation over there.
So up until this point, Lord Shiva's been very controlled, mind you. Starting from the beginning, how many of us remain non-agitated when someone says something, even if they say it and we're not around, and someone tells us, oh, by the way, I was in a meeting and they said this, or I heard this in the corridor, in the temple, whatever. Let alone if you're at a public event, as this was, with the who's who of everyone in the universe, to then someone stand up, the host, and publicly insult you. I mean, from that point until now, he's been, I'd say, exemplary.
Yeah, reserved, hasn't taken any offense, just kind of steered clear.
Yeah. So, next paragraph. Let's see what happened. Well, okay, let's see what Prabhupada says first.
When Sati passed away, giving up her body, the news was conveyed by Narada to Lord Shiva. Narada always carries the news of such events because he knows their import. Narada is like also, he's the original spaceman and the original newsman.
Is it? Yeah.
What?
I was going to say, it's like, the way he's depicted anyway in Indian serials and movies is like he likes a good gossip and all, and likes to stir up.
Well, he's a stirrer.
But in a good way. I mean that in a good way.
When Lord Shiva heard that his chaste wife Sati was dead, he naturally became exceedingly angry. He also understood that Bhrigu Muni had created the Ribudev demigods by uttering the mantras of the Yajurveda, and that these demigods had driven away all of the soldiers who were present in the arena of sacrifice. Therefore, he wanted to reply to this insult, and thus he decided to kill Daksha, because he was the cause of the death of Sati. Eye for an eye. There we go. Okay, let's read on.
Text 2. Thus Lord Shiva, being extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth. How'd you do that? And immediately snatched from his head a strand of hair.
And you bite your leg. That's what you're doing.
And immediately snatched from his head a strand of hair which blazed like electricity or fire. He stood up at once, laughing like a madman, and dashed the hair to the ground.
Maybe you should put a link to that video that we did.
Maybe we shouldn't, but yeah.
Why not?
But yeah. Text 3. A fearful black...
We did that during lockdown, didn't we?
Yeah. Whatever happened in lockdown stays
in lockdown.
Text 3. A fearful black demon as high as the sky and as bright as 3 suns combined was thereby created. A fearful black demon. His teeth very fearful, and the hairs on his head like burning fire. He had thousands of arms, equipped with various weapons, and he was garlanded with the heads of men. Oh. Text 4. When that gigantic demon asked with folded hands, "What shall I do, my lord?" Lord Shiva, who is known as Bhutanat, directly ordered, "Because you are born from my body, you are the chief of all my associates. Therefore, kill Daksha and his soldiers at the sacrifice." So good.
Bad news, man.
Here is the beginning of competition between Brahma Tejas and Shiva Tejas. By Brahma Tejas' Brahminical strength, Bhrigu Muni had created the Ribu demigods who had driven away the soldiers of Lord Shiva stationed in the arena. When Lord Shiva heard that his soldiers had been driven away, he created the tall black demon Virabhadra to retaliate. There is sometimes a competition between the mode of goodness and the mode of ignorance. That is the way of material existence. Even when one is situated in a mode of goodness, there is every possibility that his position will be mixed with or attacked by the mode of passion or ignorance. That is the law of material nature. Although pure goodness or Shuddha Sattva is the basic principle in the spiritual world, pure manifestation of goodness is not possible in this material world. Thus, the struggle for existence between different material qualities is always present. This quarrel between Lord Shiva and Bhrigu Muni, centering around Prajapati Daksha, is a practical example of such competition between the different qualitative modes of material nature. Interesting. Because I wouldn't put... It's interesting, I don't... Like in this, I'm Team Shiva, not Team Daksha. I think he was out of order. And I wouldn't put him in the mode of goodness camp.
Yeah, it wasn't Daksha that he was compared to.
Bhrigu Muni.
Yeah. And you compare Bhrigu to the mode of goodness. because he's a Brahman. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Srapashanti Surya Hadu Vichakshatatam Tad Viprashova Panyavodam Sasamindati Vishnu Ya Param Param. That the Brahmins are very dear to Lord Vishnu. So Vishnu, their followers usually of Vishnu, and that's the mode of goodness. Lord Shiva is in charge of the mode of ignorance. Daksha was most likely in the mode of
ignorance.
No.
Oh, goodness.
Passion.
Passion.
He was a progenitor. Yeah. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. But you lost all of them. So, so that's the comparison between goodness and ignorance. But yeah, your team Daksha, or sorry, your team Shiva. But Brigu is on the side of Daksha because they're trying to perform the yajna for Daksha. They're just trying to do a yajna, and all of a sudden, this woman shows up, lights herself on fire, then all Hades starts breaking loose with these bhutas. And so they're like, okay, we just want to have a yajna here. So, but it's interesting because you would think that the Brahmanas might cite some sort of goodness in a way that it would calm the situation. But it seems that by their action, to a greater or lesser extent, they excited the situation and exacerbated it and took it to a next level. Yeah. So Lord Shiva was like really fried.
Yeah. It's exactly. He didn't act in a way that understood the nature of the, if you want to wind him up, that's what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, but I was thinking it was, when it says Brahma Tejas and Shiva Tejas, means power. I was thinking it's like the distinction between white magic and black magic. Because, Lord Shiva used, he plucked the hair from his head, chanted some mantras, and this huge, horrible demon manifested. Whereas with the mode of goodness, Tejas or magic, then Brigu manifested these warrior demigods.
Demigods.
So it was interesting, black magic and white magic. Good witch, bad witch. Or which is which.
Alright.
Text 5. Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, that black person was the personified anger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was prepared to execute the orders of Lord Shiva. Thus, considering himself capable of coping with any power offered against him, he circumambulated Lord Shiva. So he was fired up, basically.
Literally.
His head was on fire, and he was as bright as 3 suns, so he was definitely fired up. Like a little bit more than that is fired up. So, text 6. Many other soldiers of Lord Shiva followed the fierce personality in a tumultuous uproar. He carried a great trident, fearful enough to kill even death, and on his legs he wore bangles which seemed to roar. So even the bangles were roaring. At that time, this is text 7. At that time, all the persons assembled in the sacrificial arena, the priests, the chief of the sacrificial performance, and the Brahmanas and their wives, wondered where the darkness was coming from. Later, they could understand that it was a dust storm, and all of them were full of anxiety. Oh no, it's getting dark. What is happening here? You can imagine the scene. Text 8. Conjecturing on the origin of the storm, they said, There is no wind blowing, and no cows are passing, nor is it possible that this dust storm could be raised by plunderers, for there is still the strong King Barhi, who would punish them. Sorry, let me read that again. Therefore no wind blowing. and no cows are passing, nor is it possible that this dust storm could be raised by plunderers, for there is still the strong King Barhi who would punish them. Where is the dust storm blowing from? Is the dissolution of the planet now to occur? Purport. Specifically significant in this verse is Prachini Barhi Jivata. The king of that part of the land was known as Barhi, and although he was old, he was still living, and he was a very strong ruler. Thus, there was no possibility of an invasion by thieves and plunderers. Indirectly, it is stated here that thieves, plunderers, rogues, and unwanted population can exist only in a state or kingdom where there is no strong ruler. Interesting. When in the name of justice thieves are allowed liberty, there you go. And this is why certain persons are meant to be kshatriyas or rulers, because they have a sense of justice. If you're a thief and you're punished. Sorry. From a Brahminical angle, you can see, yeah, it's all good, this is okay, and that's okay. But actually, the kshatriyas, their whole principle is justice, and they are meant to administer that. When in the name of justice thieves are allowed liberty, the state and kingdom are disturbed by such plunderers and unwanted population. The dust storm created by the soldiers and assistants of Lord Shiva resembled the situation at the time of the dissolution of this world. When there is a need for the dissolution of the material creation, this function is conducted by Lord Shiva. Therefore, the situation now created by him resembled the dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. So basically, everyone heading scroll up there. Everyone heading over to that party to basically bust things up created this huge dust storm, which was likened to the cloud cover and the situation at the time of sort of universal devastation or annihilation. And it looked like that because Lord Shiva is in charge of that, and so because he's also the creator of this havoc, you could say, then it resembles that same sort of thing. So and interesting, I never noticed before that King Prachini Barhi, who is also known as King Prachini Barhi Shat, is mentioned here, and he is the father of the Prachetas, and that pastime will be relayed later in the 4th canto, the pastime of the Prachetas. So it's kind of alluded to here, and I'm not sure, it is quite possible later that Parikshit Maharaj will say, previously you mentioned Prachini Barhi, could you tell me a little bit about him? So it's just like, so nectar, Okay, maybe we finish there.
Finished it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we'll call it a session. Thank you all very much for your time, and please read the Srimad Bhagavatam. And make sure you press that button below and give us a thumbs up to like,
comment, subscribe,
and share.
Have a nice day.
Hare Bhava, everybody. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.